Hello Key Stage 1 and welcome back to day 3 of week 9 for your writing lessons, and we're going to be continuing looking at diary entries. As per normal, I would like you to start with some retrieval practice. I'd like you to complete today's retrieval quiz, and this one is focusing on how well you can remember our story. Good luck with the quiz. Let's have a look at today's learning objective. Today, your learning objective is to recognise the features of a diary entry. Now, you have looked at diary entries before, so hopefully this will just be a good refresher for your brain. Let's have a look at our success criteria. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to say, I can clearly explain what a diary entry is. I can also name some features of a diary entry. And I can even highlight features of a diary entry independently. First of all, I'd like us to think about this question here. What is a diary? I'd like you to have a discussion with your adult or someone in your household about what you think a diary is. So you can start off with these sentences. I think a diary is, or a diary entry is, and explain what you think it means. You can pause the video and have that discussion now. Okay, let's take a look at the definition for a diary. So a diary is a book in which one keeps a daily record of events and experiences. Hopefully you got that right and you knew what a diary was. Well done if you did. Next, let's take a look at our waggle for this week. Remember, waggle is what a good one looks like. So here I have got a waggle for a diary entry written from the perspective of Captain Patch in the Night Pirates. So it's not written from my point of view, it's written as if I was Captain Patch. So I'd like you to listen really carefully to the waggle and see if you notice any features of a diary entry that you looked at before. Dear Diary, you won't believe what happened last night. I was fast asleep in my hammock when suddenly I was awoken by a very bizarre sort of ship approaching the island. I shouted loudly at my lazy shipmates and woke them up too. They were just as confused as I was, mainly because this odd ship looked more like a house. As the other pirates started snoring again, the house ship was getting closer and closer. Before I knew it, some very small and scary pirates leapt out of the ship, and a little boy too. Not to forget the bright orange cat that followed them. They chased us away as they stole our beautiful golden treasure away. I was absolutely terrified, as were my lazy shipmates. I was left feeling absolutely shocked. My shipmates were so rattled by the event that they all hid amongst the tall, swaying palm trees. I watched in disbelief as the little pirates and the little boy, and his bright orange cat, of course, sailed away in their strange, creepy ship with my treasure. I will have to hatch a plan to get my treasure back. That's all for today. Bye for now, Captain Patch. Well done for listening really, really well. I would like us to now have a think about diary entry features. Okay, so we're going to focus on features of a diary entry. I'd like you to think back to when you wrote your diary entries based on the 3 little pigs. We'll have a look through the waggle again, and I would like you to see if you can spot any features of a diary entry. Okay, so here's our waggle again. I would just like to highlight that this waggle is split into three main sections. We've got the first paragraph here, in which it is setting the scene. So Captain Patch starts describing what happened last night, what happened in the book from his perspective. The second paragraph starts to explain the events a bit further. So this part, the second paragraph in a diary entry, is explaining the main event in the story. So I'd like you to have a look through this first part of the waggle and see if you can spot any diary entry features. And this is the third and final paragraph, which starts to explain what happened at the end of the story from Captain Patch's perspective. Got to remember that it's from his point of view. And then there's a final bit at the end. So again, read through this last bit of the waggle and see if you can highlight any features of a diary entry. Okay, so here's a list of features that I have come up with, and I'm sure that you identified some of these or remembered some of these from when you did the Three Little Pigs. So let's have a look. A diary entry always has an opening. It might start with Dear Diary or To My Diary, etc. It should also have the date. So it should have the long date, the day, the month and the year written in full. Hopefully it should include detailed descriptions, so including lots of adjectives, adverbs or just exciting word choices to make it a really interesting read. Should also talk about thoughts and feelings, how you felt, happy, upset, surprised, amazed, those sorts of words. It should almost always be written in the past tense. So if you're looking at verbs, should be in the past tense, for example, walked or happened. They've both got that ed ending showing us that it happened in the past. Or it might have phrases like we were or it was, always talking in the past tense. Should be written in the first person, so looking for words like I, my or me. Another feature is chronological, so it should be in chronological order. So like our waggle, I explained that it was split into three paragraphs. The first one setting the scene for what happened in the beginning from Captain Patch's perspective. The second paragraph was explaining the main event from his perspective. And the third paragraph was explaining what happened towards the end of the story for Captain Patch from his point of view. So you could use words like first, then, next and finally to give you a clear order for your diary entry. Finally, it should have a closing. So it might be phrases like that's all for now, looking forward to tomorrow or see you soon, etc. So something that's signing off the diary entry. For your activity today, I would like you to read through our waggle again, and I would like you to identify and highlight the features of the diary entry on the waggle. So we've just gone through the features, what we're looking for, and now it's your task to read through it and see if you can find those features within the waggle. So you can either use the pre-made coloured key for the features that I've shown here, or you can choose your own colours to highlight the features here. So if you want to go for mild activity, you've already got the colours there for you. And if you want to do medium or hot, then you choose your own colours and you're finding them completely independently. Good luck with your task and work hard. Let's move on to our plenary for today's lesson. Have a look at my question. Which feature is this an example of? Bye for now. Is it a closing, an opening, or is it an example of first person? That's right, well done. It is an example of a closing. Which feature is this an example of? I. Example of putting something in chronological order, an opening, or writing in first person. That's right, well done. It is an example of writing in the first person. And finally, which feature is this an example of? Tall, swaying palm trees. Is it an example of an opening to a diary entry, a detailed description, or an example of writing in first person? Fantastic, that's it. It's an example of writing a detailed description. Okay, that brings us to our reflection for today. I'd like us to think about whether you have met your learning objective. So the learning objective was to recognise the features of a diary entry. Give yourself a big tick in the air if you can now say, I can clearly explain what a diary entry is. Give yourself a big tick in the air if you can also say, I can also name some features of a diary entry. And give yourself a tick in the air again if you can say, I can even highlight features of a diary entry independently. So if you manage to highlight those features on that waggle completely on your own, give yourself a tick for that one. Well done for all your hard work today's lesson. And now we're just going to look at what we will be doing in tomorrow's session. So we're continuing to look at diary entry features, but this time I've got 3 different examples, not related to the Night Pirates, but 3 different examples of diary entries. I would like you to highlight those features in each diary entry that we've looked at today, and then complete the feature checklist shown here. So you've got diary entry 1, diary entry 2, and diary entry 3. And then a challenge activity. If any features are missing in those 3 diary entry examples, can you add some in? For example, if it's missing a detailed description, you could add one in. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday.